China. Now, Chinese President Xi Jinping issued the strongest warning yet against anyone who questions the country's zero COVID policy. Now, we did see, and NewsX also has been continuously covering the sort of atrocities that are taking place in Beijing, in Shanghai. Now, the visuals are also on your screen of, in fact, civilians and residents in Shanghai, in Beijing, fighting back with the so-called PLA covert officers who were manhandling, ill-treating and arresting civilians. Now, this is a sort of situation that was happening in Shanghai. And now Xi vowed to, and I quote, unswervingly adhere to the general policy of dynamic COVID, zero COVID is what he calls it. Now, he also said that he will fight against any words and acts that distort, doubt or deny that China's epidemic prevention policies are working. Now, this is what Xi Jinping has said. Now, yet another statement, but in fact it comes at a time when there are enough evidence, there is enough social media videos and videos going all over social media, on Twitter, and in fact several media outlets also picking it up. Let me rope in Ambassador Deepak Vora, who's joining us on the broadcast. Sir, thank you for joining us this morning. Now, we're talking about Xi Jinping yet again in denial, this time about the atrocities that have happened in Shanghai, in Beijing. But sir, there is no way that it can be denied. There is hard evidence. There are videos that are pouring out of Shanghai till today, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Always a pleasure to be with you on NewsX to learn from you. And I see that you have Mr. Srivastava, whose knowledge is far superior to mine. You asked a very interesting question. You know, the virus is out of control. Protests are erupting such as we have never seen before. By the way, you do know that the Asian Games scheduled for September 2022 in China have been postponed indefinitely because of the COVID resurgence. The Chinese virus has returned home. My daughter sent me a WhatsApp meme. After working all over the world for 2 years, the Chinese virus now works from home. China's zero COVID policy is failing, but no one dares tell the emperor. The march of folly is continuing, and you have rightly said the kind of pain that this country, that this party is inflicting on its people is unprecedented. Ma'am, the severe warning that he has issued shows that he is aware of the discontent. His sidekicks say they will punish any words and acts that distort, doubt or deny China's epidemic prevention policies. You know who is the greatest virologist, epidemiologist, economist, strategist, thinker, leader the world has ever known? A fellow called Ping Pong. He is scared, ma'am. I've seen this madness before in China. Mr. Srivastava might agree. We had the great leap forward by a character called Mao Zedong. 50 million Chinese died through starvation, execution, torture, forced labor, suicide out of desperation, the largest single non-wartime campaign of mass killing in human history. And then we had the great leap forward. We had the Cultural Revolution of 65 to 69, which tore apart China, just as Ping Pong is doing, as the virus eats China's innards. What adventure will he launch? I don't know. Ma'am, our Prime Minister, India's Prime Minister, has been traveling the world, most recently Europe, reinvigorating old friendships, forming new ones. Ping Pong, who once strode the globe bearing his dirty gifts and demanding obeisance, has not left his country in 2 years. What does this tell you?
Right.
That all this nonsense about zero COVID, no COVID, we'll deal with it, is arrant nonsense. I don't think any Chinese believes it. I don't think Ping Pong himself believes it. But the party has psyched itself into believing that it has no future, the world has no future without a fellow called Ping Pong. I feel sorry for the Chinese.
Right. Let me also rope in foreign policy expert Sanjeev Srivastava, sir. So now, like Ambassador Vora did speak about the warning that Xi Jinping has imposed, do you think this something could come out of it, or is it just a way to sort of divert the attention and, you know, sort of a crisis and shift the focus, but that's not working? Sanjeev Srivastava, sir, if you're able to hear me. Please unmute yourself, sir.
First of all, a very good morning to you, and very good morning to Ambassador Vora, sir. It's always a pleasure and privilege joining you, sir. on this as a co-panelist. Having said that, let me say to respond to your question. China is gradually moving towards becoming a totalitarian state. China was authoritarian state, we all knew, but the way Chinese current president Xi Jinping is behaving, the way he is governing his country, China is going to become a totalitarian state where there will be no, freedom of expression, where there will be no any such freedoms where people can even express their resentments and their difficulties, etc. And what we are witnessing in Shanghai is a clear example, clear indication of it, that China is going to become a totalitarian state. And very rightly, as has been mentioned by Ambassador Bola sir, that in the past also, if you look at the Chinese misbehavior, mistreatment of their own people, be it 1989 Tiananmen Square incident, or if you go back to so-called Great Leap Forward policies, etc., where enormous amount of difficulties, suffering, torture Chinese people have faced from their own government. Even if you look at the Chinese treatment towards their soldiers, when they confronted our soldiers in Galwan, and after that the kind of information suppression had been done with regard to the sacrifices made by the Chinese soldiers for their nation, that has also been suppressed.
Right.
So you just can imagine what kind of a treatment, what kind of a regard China is having for its own citizens, for its own soldiers. So I think this shows all about the China's very, very authoritarian, totalitarian way of functioning, way of governing. And I think with this kind of policies, you will see more resentment, more dissatisfaction among the masses in China will grow in times to come. I think China has opened on the one side, economic side. China wants to have interaction with the world. China wants to have all sorts of benefits from the international system. But at the same time, China cannot expect suppressing such kind of voices. Those people who are suffering, those who are in difficulties, they cannot even express their opinion. So this will cause a very enormous amount of challenge.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.